What is going on? Charles Botenston here. We are live on BPI YouTube and my personal channel over to the left. So if you guys have any questions, obviously leave in the comments below. This is obviously not going to be the most popular video between real estate agents, but this is actually something that I heard from a couple of people, not only in real estate, but real estate coaches, real estate influencers, investors. And obviously this is what's really happening across the board in most industries, but no one's willing to talk about it, which is the coming disruptions in the real estate marketplace. Obviously, there's a couple of them in which we're going to name below. And obviously, if you guys have any other ones that you thought of that I haven't thought of, then let me know. The first one is, and where is this coming from? This is coming from 10 years of experience. However, it's coming from experience where the amount of disruptions have actually superseded the value that you're willing to provide, or the value that you're, like I'm going to be talking about, say, lower amount of compensation for a real estate agent, okay? I was in a pitch yesterday and they gave me, because I provided value to two of their neighbors, they never actually said anything about the compensation. They never said anything. The one right before that, we're actually shooting a property tour right after this, and one of the things that they've talked about is, okay, what's the compensation? I gave it to them, and we said, listen, we have to compensate the buyer's agent. Obviously, this is on the listing side. However, if you provide the value, people will see the value, okay? The problem is that all these disruptions is that no one's actually providing the value. No one's actually gotten good enough to provide the value. So we're gonna go over it. The first one we're gonna be talking about is lower transactions. So the amount of transactions has gone down significantly this year. We used to hover around 12 to 13,000 total in New York City. Now we're around 10, okay? So what does that mean? Imagine 3,000 less transactions. That's a lot, okay? And if the 80-20 rule applies, which is 80% of all the business goes to 20% of the agents, to be honest, I think it's like 90-10, to be honest. In other words, 10% of the agents do 90% of the business. We have over 35,000 agents that are licensed. And so that's 35,000. There's only 10,000 transactions that occur. Okay, yes, the price range has gone up, but think about that. That means there's 20,000 agents that are doing no business. And then if you bring in Pareto's principle, which is 90-10 or 80-20, however you want to bring it up, there's a lot of agents that are doing no business. No business, okay? And if you really want to talk about it even further, is that if there's rentals, and those agents were licensed to do rentals, is that rentals are getting disrupted way before sales, okay? And this is the thing, is that it's not popular. People are not going to be like, oh, Charles, thanks for talking about it. It's more about, this is what's coming. How do you actually add more value? Okay, that's the hot topic. And that's essentially the series that we want to go with, the things that no one really wants to talk about, but it's just kind of like murmured in the industry. All right, so number one is lower transactions, the amount of transactions. Number two is compensation. This is obvious. There's a lot of, when you have only 10,000 transactions, you have so many agents, you obviously have to give on something. So there's a lot of agents, there's a lot of companies, and there's a lot of apps and overseas and Silicon Valley people that are looking to bring the buyer and the seller together. Understandable. I've talked about it before, is that by 2020, I think it's actually sooner, Michael Dell, and he said this in like 2016, he said, 4 years apart, he said, it used to be price, now it's time, okay? People used to value their money, now they're valuing their time. Okay, so if you have an app that's willing to save someone money on either the sale of their home or finding the buyer or a buyer looking for a home, whatever the case is, that app is going to succeed. However, if you have an app that does the exact same thing as a real estate agent, but the real estate agent is willing to get you more money, as long as the real estate agent is willing to get you more money, you will pay for that. The experience of actually going through the listing side, the buy side, whatever the case is. All right, so lower compensation is so, Gary Keller, the guy that founded Keller Williams, he said it's going to be 1-3, 1-3, 1-3. So imagine this as a pie chart. Pie chart? It's a pie chart. So you have 1-3, 1-3, 1-3. Okay, 1/3 is going to be dedicated to brokerages that are very low, low commission. They don't provide any service. They don't really care about the price. They're really not going to call you back, and they're just going to do it. You may not be happy, but they'll sell or buy your home. Okay, that's always going to be part of the marketplace. Then you're going to have 1/3 of the marketplace which is an app or a current website that we don't know about that's going to come along and just literally just have no agent. And that could be blockchain, that could be, it could be Redfin, that could be Zillow, that could be, this company from overseas in the UK has been very successful. They want to bring it to New York City. They started in New York City. So, but what they notice is that co-ops are a little bit more challenging. Okay, so this is not hammering agents. This isn't hammering what the traditional model is that you have to provide more than the traditional model. Okay, there's a lot of agents that, to be honest, I'm I don't want to say I'm in a transaction with someone, but I'm in a transaction and I'm like, there was no value to provided. I wish I could just literally talk to the buyer themselves, okay? Because there was the negotiating was terrible. The amount of line items that were missed, we just put in the purchase application yesterday. It took way too long. And that's, whose fault is that? Obviously, it's sort of my fault, but the owner hired me as a listing agent to provide the value so they don't have to worry about it. But then if you don't have a good agent on the other end, all right, not gonna get into that. The third thing is buyer empowerment. Okay, buyer empowerment is really just consumer empowerment. So what does that mean? If you go to Amazon, you can look at the reviews, and to be honest, do you actually really know the company? Like, I don't even know the company that made these lights. I don't even know the company that made this stand. I don't know the company that made all these cords that make me go live, but it had really good reviews, and I read through the reviews, and it was a good price. That's really, if you just take the Amazon effect and you literally multiply that, I have a cousin, she's in cosmetics, and she's talking about how cosmetics is getting disrupted. Look at travel. My brother used a travel agent. I'm like, what? Those people still exist? So if you think about it, all these areas that are really getting disrupted are the ones that there's room to be disrupted, and there's a middle person that doesn't provide the value. That's really what it comes down to, and it now comes down to the buyer empowerment. Okay, there's a lot of buyers that come to us and they say, listen, I don't need an agent. I say, well, especially on the listing side, I say, well, actually, it would really help out with the board application to make sure that you're negotiating, getting the right price, making sure you get the right terms. And by the way, terms are completely negotiable. When are you closing? Do you have to sell something before you buy? When are you actually going to put in the purchase application? Who's your attorney? Who's the bank? Who's the lender that's going to be able to take you through the process regardless of the actual rate they're providing you? I've had a lot of buyers actually switch to a bank mid-transaction because they said, this bank is lost or this banker is lost. Okay, and then you consider it, you have everything else, the board to go through. So buyer empowerment is good so long as you're actually with an agent that says, you know what, here are the list of homes, go to these open houses on Sunday, let's talk right after it, let's grab a coffee and talk about all the things that you saw and all the things that you actually may want to put an offer on. Can we afford it? Can we get through the board? Do we need a gifting? Is it going to show up in your bank account? Is this a pied-à-terre? Do they allow pied-à-terres? What's the sublet policy? Are you allowed to renovate? Can you have a washer dryer? All these things I've sent over to, ironically enough, a management company because we're putting on a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. We're filming the property tour literally right after this. I'm going to leave and just go up there. But one of the things with the buyer empowerment is the experience that they're going to receive consistently year over year, month over month, and are you in touch after the transaction? After the transaction. So those are the 3 areas that I'm in. This is from very high up CEOs in real estate. These are people that I respect within the industry that are doing tons of business. So instead of saying, oh my gosh, this is terrible, recognize that this is happening and that we have to get better as agents and that people who are consumers have to understand, ask those questions to see if that agent actually provides you the value. That's everything. Are they going to provide me the marketing? Are they going to be available? Who's showing my apartment? When are they going to list it? What's the price? Especially now, the price is one of the most important things on the listing side. Yes, you want to get this, but now it's actually 3 to 4% lower than what you actually wanted. All right. So the 3 things in wrap up: lower transactions. So the amount of transactions that are actually being traded right now this year, especially this year, has gone down significantly. So you have lower transactions, but the same amount of inventory. lower compensation, that's obvious. If you can't provide the value, then obviously the compensation is going to go down. There's going to be a lot of disruptors, as I mentioned in the pie chart. And buyer empowerment. Buyer empowerment, I like, because it really subsidizes the amount of questions that we get asked as agents. What is your line item of actually providing value? And if the buyer empowerment, consumer empowerment, whatever you want to call it, says, I don't need to go to Best Buy, or I don't need to go to a broker, and that could be any broker, a real estate broker, it could be a stock broker, it could be a travel agent. I don't even need anyone to represent me. I'm going to put my book out there and publish it. This is across the board. You have to supersede the value as opposed to what you're getting paid, okay? They have to see more value than what they're paying, and a transaction will get done. In other words, you will get hired. So those are the 3 areas. If you guys have any questions, obviously leave in the comments below. Labor Day weekend is coming up. We have 2 apartments that are coming on the market. Number 1 is a 2-bed, 2-bath that's going to be priced at $125,000. We also have a 1-bedroom, both on the Upper West Side, a 1-bedroom that's going to be priced at $595,000. Both need a little bit of work, but they are beautiful and they are ready to go. Okay, and I've done a transaction in one of the buildings. Great co-op, great building, everything, smooth transaction. The other one is on 79th Street, West 79th Street. It is going to be so fire. It's going to be so nice. So those are 2 things. And then obviously, if you guys want, we have 2 new Instagram handles. Number 1 is BPI News, which is all about news that's happening. Market yesterday's was about millennials and their buying power, and they're the ones that are really boosting up the marketplace. And then Celebrity, BPI Celebrity. You can both find those on Instagram or in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube. Obviously, Facebook is a little bit different. Enjoy your day. Tomorrow we're gonna have the wrap up of this week's news and celebrity news. So if you guys want to tune in, obviously subscribe, leave your comments, shoot me an email, charles@bpi.live. Enjoy your Wednesday. Almost forgot the day. Talk to you guys soon.